It's about that time of day again. Welcome back to Nightly Newsletter, boys and girls. Joseph James here. It's Monday evening, November 7th, 2016. Crude is bullish after filling the weekend gap. E-mini S&P is bullish and trading at prior week highs after a very strong bull run. Gold is bearish and trading inside a range, and Euro is bearish and trying to finish off a measured move this evening. Now, in case you hadn't heard yet, tomorrow's election day, which means anything can happen, and we'll be ready for up, down, sideways, anything that can happen here in Tuesday's session. No matter what happens on election day, though, I have another great newsletter for you guys and gals tonight with plenty of reliable trading opportunities setting up for tomorrow. Before we jump into our charts, though, and take a look at today's strategy for tomorrow's session, I do want to remind you the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, it is only a small portion of our full-length nightly newsletter. There's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link. Come join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets for the full-length version. And while you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when our nightly newsletter goes live. Download those charts. You can download those charts below the video tonight. There's a link right below that video that gives you a chance to have all the charts on your computer for tomorrow's Election Day session. In the upper right-hand corner, if you're not a member here at School of Trade, don't forget to grab your free pass. I got a free pass for you guys and gals. If you're not a member here at School of Trade, grab a free pass in the upper right-hand corner. Come out and join me as a student in the trade room this week. And, of course, don't forget, if you're brand new here to SOT, you get a great frequently asked questions page, among many other links on our blog here at Sideways Markets. Read the FAQs and find out the who, what, where, when, and why. We're known as the industry standard in futures trading education. Hope you guys had a great weekend out there. Boy, that daylight savings time shift starting to catch up with me here tonight. Just wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day when all that. It makes no sense, right? I got just enough sleep. I got the same amount of sleep last night. I know. That whole sun on the horizon thing's gonna start messing with us tomorrow. What better day than Election Day Tuesday? That's for sure. So let's jump right in here. Hope you guys had a great weekend out there. What a beautiful time of the year to be outdoors, right? And I hope you guys are doing well out there. We got some news on the schedule for tomorrow. Now, again, I'd be lying to you if I said that all eyes, ears, fingers, and toes, right? Everyone's going to be eyeing that election result tomorrow. We're probably going kind of in the last couple elections. We're probably not going to find out the definitive answer, if any, until late in the day tomorrow. So we'll probably be talking about this again in tomorrow night's newsletter, unless it's a landslide. I don't think it's going to be, but unless it is, right, we're probably going to be coming out of the last few states. And of course, if you recall from the last few elections, right, they contest the count and all the, yeah. So I won't get into that right now, but again, we probably won't find out until late in the day tomorrow. So we'll end up talking more about the election again tomorrow. Tomorrow, what you want to be thinking tomorrow is it could be high volume, it could be low volume. You know, one side of the coin for tomorrow, Tuesday, November 8th, is that it could be low volume, right? People are out going to the polls, they're distracted, they're watching whatever news media they watch these days. People may be distracted. At the same time, though, did you see the volume in today's market, right? A lot of rumors flying around. People are placing their bets. Vegas says one thing, S&P says the other, right? So tomorrow might be a day where we really see a lot of activity. You know, here in the west coast of the U.S., most people I know here have already cast their ballots, right? They've already voted. So tomorrow won't be waiting in line at the polls, right, for a lot of people. It'll just be kind of, a day like any other. So it may or may not be high volume or low volume. We're going to come out and we're going to see what it looks like tomorrow in real time in our trade room. We have some news tomorrow, but again, it's really going to be all about what we see tomorrow coming out of the London session into the U.S. session. I'll be watching volume tomorrow. I'll be watching volume. I'll be watching for ranges. If it's a low volume environment and everyone's watching the electoral board on the news media, we may see it go relatively sideways, and it may be sideways low volume. If that's the case, we're buying low, we're selling high, we're focusing on failures. We'll do it tomorrow, obviously, with all of our students. If we get the opposite, though, if this is a rip-roaring session tomorrow, we get a bunch of weekend gaps, right, that we saw from Friday night to Sunday. Crude closed its gap, but S&P, gold, and euro, they've got some gaps still waiting over the weekend, and those gaps rarely stay open more than a day or two. So tomorrow, we may see some big moves. We're We'll be ready for those, and we may also see some, well, maybe not narrow, but low volume ranges. So we'll try to anticipate that along the way here tomorrow. And again, we'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We'll do it all together in real time. So again, the big headline news tomorrow is the presidential election. We're probably not going to hear about it tomorrow until tomorrow evening, although you know they're going to be beating the drum all day tomorrow in the news media. Pretty much the major news tomorrow, though, is that JOLTS report at 10 a.m. That's pretty much the only real. Again, I'd be lying to you if I said anybody's really going to use that tomorrow, right? I think that everybody will be waiting on the election results tomorrow. But that's pretty much the only major news. We got nothing out of the Asian system tonight. We got JOLTS report tomorrow at 10 a.m. JOLTS report is not listed as a major market move, but it is. It's a real important news number, and traders have picked up on that here in the medium term. So not a lot of major news tomorrow for good reason. Again, JOLTS at 10 a.m. And then, of course, we'll talk more about the CPI and the PPI coming out tomorrow night from China at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So unless you've been living under a rock, and literally I don't think there was a corner of this planet of ours that you could have been hiding out in over the past 6-8 months, everyone's pretty much on the same page here. Tomorrow is the election day. And I think I speak for all of us when I say, get it over with, for crying out loud. Let's get back to reality here where not everybody's talking about who you're voting for. Bottom line is, we got a plan for tomorrow. Right, we got a plan for tomorrow, but it's really going to be dependent on what happens tomorrow morning as far as the volume looks, and I'm sure a lot of traders will be thinking the exact same thing. So tomorrow, if this market ends up being a real big mover, right, promise me you won't sell into a bull market or buy into a bear market. Follow the plan, follow the trend, and if we do see a sideways trend, which you may see on crude oil, right, we want to make sure we be careful here. Buy low, sell high, focus on failures until we see a strong breakout. So let's jump right in. Crude is bullish after filling the weekend gap, the only of four markets, the only one that filled the weekend gap, and now trying to extend the move higher with channel rotation and a measured move. The bulls have control after a very strong move higher this afternoon, which tells us that buyers will be looking for opportunities at the channel lows if we get the pullback, or using reversal lines if this move continues on the back of this big run in the equity markets today. Buyers will be using the measured move and prior month levels as targets. Sellers need to wait to take control, which will come in the form of a strong push lower and then holding a pullback. The bears will use the low of day at 44.11 and last week's low for their targets tomorrow. So first of all, here we can definitely see here, there's one of those examples of the weekend gap, right? So market opens up, comes back middle, late morning here, comes back and fills that weekend gap just above that 44 even area. And then, of course, almost as if just to give those buyers a chance to buy low, it just jumps. Now, put this in perspective. At this point now, gold's tumbling, euro's tumbling, right? S&P, Dow, equities are roaring higher here over the weekend news about one of the candidates. So we know now that gap is filled, now it's chasing equities, and so we have this big run up, right? We have this big, relatively strong run higher. Strong moves in any direction tell me that at the very least we're expecting a retest of the high, at the very most a measured move. So buyers right now, really at this point, as far as the buyers go, they have clear control. My question right now is, are we going to see a great opportunity here to buy the pullback at the trend line? Right, at the moving average, or is this going to become more of a range, and are we going to start going all the way down to the low of that range and looking to buy that 44, right, 43? That, of course, would be the opportunities here for the buyers on the pullback. If it goes higher here, it's a little bit tough to tell right now. We may end up seeing a bit of a spike in channel. Right. The bottom line, though, is if it does go higher here, now what I'll start looking for is I'll start looking for these reversal lines. Right. So think about reversal lines as we go higher and start using those prior swings, right, for your areas of support as well. So really right now, the big question is this a range? Are we going to stall out at these highs, or are we going to keep blitzing this thing higher? Now, as it goes higher, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but if you look way up here, there's the prior month low. That's the next big open, high, low, close level waiting overhead here at 46. at 46.63. So, be aware of that. If this thing does turn into a kind of a flamethrower tomorrow, 46.63, right, may be a good runaway target for us tomorrow. At this point, that is a pipe dream here for those bulls. But don't be surprised here. Again, tomorrow's election day. We got to be ready for any real big moves. As you can see right now, though, we definitely have this bull channel. The bull channel, of course, if you bring that back up here. Again, buyers are looking for buying opportunities here on the pullback here, right at the low of that channel. I would love to use that 44.69 as again, that's a reversal line there at 44.69. That will be a great spot, right? And again, if we do get a pullback, keep in mind, my objective will be to get back and retest, right, that high. Then we can go looking for, right, the measured move from there. As it goes lower here from there, that's of course where now we're looking to buy the low of that range, right? 44.43. So as the price pulls back, buyers would love to get their teeth into, right? Dig their heels into this 44.69, buy the low of that channel, or buy the low of that range at 44, right, 43. As the price goes higher here, if it just keeps running here, right, overnight, again, we've got a pretty strong move today from the bulls on the S&P. If we do make a run higher here, look for that breakout pullback above the high of this channel. Just make sure you get that moving average up there, right, and get that what was resistance now acting as support, right, at the top of that channel. What else here? If we don't get the pullback, right, watch the high of this range here. If we don't get the pullback, get that moving average up, right? Again, if it just kind of floats higher here, watch for it now to see if you can buy, right, on that breakout pullback. What I don't want to do is get back below that range high, right, and try buying into that range high. So really it breaks down for me in one of two scenarios. Do we keep pushing higher, or do we pull back? If we keep pushing higher, be thinking for that breakout pullback above the channel high, right, breakout pullback above the range high. And again, when it comes to both of those, you really want to see strength, and so you want to make sure that moving average is going to join you there in that move above the channel high or above that range high. That way you're not trying to buy pullbacks that are weak pullbacks, right? If it goes lower again, right, this is the easy one. If it goes lower, now we have enough room. We're not buying into the high, right? Now we can buy that pullback to 44.69, right? And again, if it goes below that channel, what will happen is the moving average will come over and you'll see something like this, right? Sellers will try to sell it short. We'll be looking for those sellers now, of course, to fail, and that's where we'll get that buy and then, of course, breakout pullback from there. There'll be two additional opportunities there, right, to buy that low and to buy that breakout pullback as this thing goes higher. What about the bears right now? What could the bears be trying to do? Well, one option would be for the bears to run it all the way up and then bring it back down here, right? So imagine now, right, they do run it higher here, but for whatever reason, the buyers, right, maybe it's a triple measured move higher here. We don't know enough about it yet to call it a triple measured move. But again, breakout, pullback, and then go. So that would be the opportunity here. Obviously, that is to be determined right now after another leg higher here, right, and then get back below that moving average, hold that pullback, and then back down into that range. We'll be looking at that tomorrow. In all reality, though, as this price goes lower, I don't want to sell into that trend line. I don't want to sell into that low of the range here. So really at this point now, you're going to be thinking breakout, pullback, and hold below the low of that range, right? That'll be the next opportunity here for those sellers. At that point now, keep in mind that will be a new measured move, right? So be aware, right? There may be a measured move target waiting down here as well. Like I said earlier, that prior week low is going to be an easy target here for those bears, 43.57. They got to get, though, you could look for a small little window there, small little window there below that range low. That's one spot, but be careful selling right into that range here. And again, think about that, right? Think about that moving average kind of as your guide here tonight going into tomorrow. that's where you're going to start seeing. Again, I like to use the moving average whenever I have an area of resistance or support that I want to make sure I clear through that, get that moving average through it, and that'll give you the confidence, right, to go forward. Again, this will be one of those examples tomorrow, right? If this does become a range, buy low, sell high, stay away from the middle. All we know right now is the bulls have control and a very strong move off those lows. We're waiting to see what they want to do when it pulls back to that 44.16